A wave of tension swept across the Middle East when reports began emerging that Iranian forces had launched missiles toward one of Israel's most strategically important military installations, Nevatim Airbase. Iranian state media quickly announced what they described as a powerful and successful strike, claiming their missiles had reached the base and inflicted serious damage on critical infrastructure. According to Iranian officials, the operation was meant to demonstrate that Israel's most important military facilities were no longer beyond the reach of Iranian strike capabilities. The claim immediately drew global attention because Nevatim Airbase is not just another Israeli military installation. Located deep in the Negev Desert in southern Israel, the base is widely considered one of the most vital components of the Israeli Air Force's operational structure. It hosts some of Israel's most advanced aircraft and plays a central role in long-range missions, intelligence coordination, and strategic air operations. Because of its importance, any strike targeting Nevatim instantly becomes a major geopolitical event. Before we break down what Iran claims happened at Nevatim Airbase, how the attack allegedly unfolded, and why Israeli and U.S. media outlets are presenting a very different version of events, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest dramatic developments shaping global geopolitics. Iranian media outlets began broadcasting statements from military commanders who described the strike as a precise operation against a critical Israeli military target. According to these reports, multiple long-range missiles were launched towards southern Israel during the operation. Iranian officials insisted that the missiles were specifically aimed at Nevatim Airbase because of its strategic importance within Israel's defense network. In the Iranian narrative, the strike represented a turning point in the confrontation. Officials claimed that several missiles successfully reached the base and caused serious damage to key sections of the facility. Iranian commentators suggested that the operation demonstrated their ability to bypass Israeli defensive systems and strike deep inside Israeli territory. According to these claims, the attack showed that even Israel's most protected military installations could be threatened. For Iran, this message carries enormous symbolic value, demonstrating the ability to reach high-value targets inside Israel, strengthens the perception of deterrence and signals that the confrontation has entered a new phase. But the story quickly became far more complicated. Within hours of the Iranian announcements, Israeli officials began presenting a very different account of what had actually happened. According to Israeli authorities, the country's advanced air defense network detected incoming missiles long before they could reach their intended targets. Israel operates a sophisticated multi-layered missile defense architecture designed to intercept threats at different stages of flight. These systems include long-range interceptors capable of destroying ballistic missiles before they descend toward their targets, as well as additional layers designed to intercept shorter-range threat. Israeli defense officials stated that once the missiles were detected, defensive systems were activated immediately. Interceptors were launched to neutralize the incoming threats before they could reach the base. According to Israeli sources, several missiles were intercepted in the air, preventing major damage to Nevatim Airbase. U.S. media outlets echoed this version of events. Reports citing defense officials indicated that the defensive systems worked as designed and prevented catastrophic damage to the base. While some debris from intercepted missiles may have fallen in nearby areas, Israeli officials insisted that the core infrastructure of Nevatim remained intact and operational. This sharp contrast between Iranian claims and Israeli statements immediately created uncertainty. On one side, Iran was presenting the strike as a major military success. On the other side, Israel and U.S. media were emphasizing the effectiveness of the air defense systems that protected the base. Situations like this are common during periods of conflict. Competing narratives often emerge as each side seeks to shape public perception and reinforce its strategic messaging. For Iran, portraying the strike as successful demonstrates strength and capability. For Israel, emphasizing successful interceptions reinforces confidence in its defensive systems and reassures the public that critical infrastructure remains secure. Between these narratives lies a complex reality that analysts are still working to understand. To fully appreciate why the alleged strike on Nevatim Airbase matters so much, it is important to understand the base's role within Israel's military structure. Nevatim is one of the Israeli Air Force's most significant installations. It has been associated with advanced aircraft programs and plays an important role in long-range operational planning. The base supports multiple squadrons and is equipped with facilities designed to handle some of the most sophisticated aircraft in Israel's arsenal. Because of this, Nevatim is considered a critical component of Israel's strategic air power. Any attack targeting such a facility carries enormous implications. Iranian officials appeared to recognize this significance when describing the strike. In statements broadcast on Iranian media channels, military spokesmen suggested that targeting Nevada was intended to demonstrate the vulnerability of Israel's most important military assets. The message was clear. No location is completely beyond reach. But Israeli officials strongly rejected that interpretation. According to Israeli defense authorities, the country's multi-layered air defense network is specifically designed to protect strategic installations like Nevatim. Early detection systems monitor airspace for incoming threats. Once a missile launch is detected, defensive batteries are activated to intercept the threat before it reaches its target. These systems represent years of technological development and have been tested repeatedly during previous confrontations. Israeli officials emphasized that the systems functioned effectively during the incident. According to their reports, interception systems engaged the incoming missiles and neutralized the threat before major damage could occur. Military analysts around the world began examining the situation closely. In modern conflicts, satellite imagery often plays a critical role in verifying claims made by opposing sides. Analysts examine high-resolution images of military installations to determine whether visible damage has occurred. If runways, hangars, or infrastructure are damaged, those changes can sometimes be detected in satellite images taken after the incident. However, such analysis takes time. In the immediate aftermath of the reported strike, definitive conclusions remained difficult. What was clear was that the event had dramatically increased tensions across the region. Missile launches targeting a strategic air base represent a serious escalation. Even if the missiles were intercepted before reaching their targets, the act of launching them carries strategic significance. It demonstrates both capability and intent. In the broader context of the confrontation between Iran and Israel, such actions contribute to a cycle of escalation that can quickly become difficult to control. Regional governments began monitoring the situation closely. Any direct exchange of missile strikes between major regional powers raises concerns about wider instability. Financial markets also began reacting cautiously. Although the strike targeted a military installation rather than energy infrastructure, instability in the Middle East often affects global markets. Energy traders, investors, and policymakers watch developments in the region carefully because disruptions can ripple across the global economy. Meanwhile, diplomatic channels began working quietly behind the scenes. International leaders often urge restraint during moments of heightened tension, recognizing that further escalation could have serious consequences. At the same time, the narrative battle surrounding the Nevatim strike continued unfolding. Iranian officials continued emphasizing the success of their operation. Israeli officials continued insisting that their defenses prevented significant damage. Military analysts continued examining available evidence in an attempt to determine what actually occurred. One important factor in these situations is the speed of modern missile defense systems. Once an incoming threat is detected, interception decisions must be made within seconds. Radar systems track the trajectory of incoming missiles, and interception systems calculate the optimal point at which to engage them. When everything works correctly, the interceptor destroys the incoming missile before it can reach its target. This technological race between offensive missile systems and defensive interception systems is one of the defining features of modern warfare. Offensive systems are designed to travel farther, faster, and more accurately. Defensive systems are designed to detect and neutralize those threats before impact. The alleged strike on Nevatim Airbase illustrates this dynamic perfectly. Iran claims its missiles reached the base. Israel insists the missiles were intercepted. Both sides are presenting narratives that align with their strategic interests. For observers around the world, the truth may ultimately emerge through careful analysis of available data. But regardless of which narrative proves more accurate, the incident itself highlights the fragile balance that exists in the region. Strategic military installations like Nevatim represent critical assets. When they become targets of missile strikes, the implications extend far beyond the immediate event. They influence military planning, diplomatic relationships, and public perceptions of security. As the situation continues to develop, governments and analysts around the world remain focused on the broader question. Will this incident remain an isolated episode, or will it lead to further escalation? History shows that moments like this can become turning points. Even if defensive systems prevent physical damage, the psychological and strategic effects of such attacks can reshape the dynamics of a conflict. For now, Nevatim Airbase remains at the center of global attention. Iran maintains that its missiles struck a key Israeli target. Israel maintains that its defenses protected the base. Between those competing narratives lies a story that the world is still trying to understand. And as tensions continue unfolding across the Middle East, the strike on Nevatim, whether interpreted as a successful attack or a defended target, stands as a powerful reminder of how quickly the security landscape can change. Stay tuned for further updates as analysts continue examining the situation and as new information emerges about what really happened during the dramatic events surrounding Israel's most important airbase.